Jamaica Fire Brigade is one of the most important establishments for Jamaica. It's a tough and I wouldn't even say oftentimes, I'd say most times, stressful job. But coupled with prank calls about non-existing danger complicates the job even further. So here to speak with us is Emilio Ebanks. He's Public Relations Officer for the Jamaica Fire Brigade. Good morning, Emilio.
Good morning, Delia. Thanks for having me.
Now, prank calls is one thing, but a trend? Just how many prank calls are we talking about? What's the consistency of these calls?
All right. Let me see if I can take you back to 2016. In 2016, we had 1,077 prank calls. In 2017, we had 1,071. In 2018, the number shot up 1,303. In 2019, we had 1,204. And in 2020, we had 1,109. So far this year, we've had up to June of this year, 595 prank calls.
So let's clarify when we say prank calls. People call in and they say, hi, Fire Brigade, I'd like to report a fire. Do they give an address? What happens?
They generally give an address. They tell you the type of fire because in order for us to respond to a situation, we have to get some information from you. So we will ask you what type of fire. We will ask you the address. We will even ask you for a name and a contact number in case we get to a scene and we're not seeing anything, so we can call you back. So what most persons will do is that they'll give you a fake name and a fake contact number for the callback as well. So those are generally the bits and pieces of information that we ask for.
And there are people who are watching, or the people who do this might think it's funny, but just a couple of weeks ago, we saw how unfunny this really is. I mean, outside of wasting the fire brigade's time because you all have other things to do, there's a man who lost his life possibly because of one of these prank calls a couple of weeks ago, Emilio. Tell us about that.
Right. We got a call for a place in St. Anne. And because of the setup of that location, the closest available fire truck would have been Mapen. Again, because of how the parishes overlap and that kind of thing, we had to respond from St. Anne. When St. Anne left out, it took them 2 hours and 45 minutes to get to that location. They got to the location, they searched the entire community. There was no call, no scene of fire. We asked persons, there was no fire at all. They told us that there was a house and a car that was on fire. Searched the community, absolutely nothing, and we headed back to base. While we were returning to base, the fire truck was involved in an accident with a delivery truck. So you're looking at the lives of all the individuals involved, plus, of course, the livelihood of these individuals who would depend on this truck. The day after, less than 24 hours, we were not able to replace that fire truck. There was a call of a house fire in Clarendon. And because of the location again, the nearest available truck to respond was Linstead. Sadly, when Linstead arrived on the scene, we found the burnt out remains of an individual. Had the Mapen truck not responded to this prank call, the Mapen truck would have been available and would have gotten there much quicker and could have saved a life.
So the situation is even more dire when you consider that the resources are not where we need them to be, Emilio.
Mm-hmm. That is absolutely true, and we really have to beg persons. I want to make it unequivocally clear. This benefits nobody, no one at all. You might think it's just a prank, and you might think it's fun. This is fun for nobody. Lives are at risk, as you said rightly. the resources are not there in a way that, we would like it to be. So we really have to beg persons. Don't prank call any of the emergency responders. It's not funny, and you place people's lives at risk.
I don't know what's the situation here in Jamaica, Emilia, but I do know that in other countries, if you summon the emergency services and it is not a valid call, there is a huge fine and possible
Or worse.
or worse. Are there any penalties in Jamaica for this? Should we be, if not, should we be advocating for things like this to happen, asking lawmakers to step in and ensure, because with the greatest of respect, begging people is not going to change the behavior. Are there penalties?
There are, because this is public mischief. But one of the things that is difficult, and this is something that we're working on with the providers of the telephone system, is catching these individuals. Because as I said, most times they'll provide fake names, they'll provide fake addresses, that kind of thing. Because this individual that we're speaking of with, this particular one, provided a contact number, but the contact number was false. It was somebody else. So, that's
To
the
be a way of
difficulty.
tracing the actual call that was made to get where the call came from. That's what.
Sometimes that is difficult as well. When you have one emergency line, and by the time you find out that this is a prank call, other emergency calls would have come in.
Right.
So it's kind of difficult to trace back, but it's
Locks.
something that we're working on with the providers to ensure that we can have these call logs, and we'll be able to trace back with the time and say, this is the number that called and gave us this prank call.
Let me ask you another question, Emilio. I mean, I know that when the call is received, every single second matters, right? So you get the call, you guys head out. Is there a way to cross-reference? I mean, how closely do you work with, for example, the police in a particular community for you to make a call to say, can somebody tell us if something is really going on in that area before you respond? Or is that taking too much time off the response time in case there is actually a fire?
That will take too much time. What we normally do is, once there's a call, the truck leaves out within a minute. If it's an ambulance, within 30 seconds, the ambulance is out. It's dispatched and out on the road. So what we will do is that if we have doubts, we still have to respond, because it's an emergency. So you'll still have to respond. What we will do is we will make contact sometimes with the police while we're en route, and find out, if they got any calls, if they heard anything about this particular situation. But even if the police says no, we will still have to respond, because it's not all the calls that the police will hear about.
Right.
So we still have to respond. Because what you don't want is a situation where you say, all right, hey, we're not going to, and it turns out to be a real thing.
Yeah. Before you go, not on prank calls, just in general, since the pandemic, a lot of people at home, a lot of children at home, seniors, have we seen an uptick in fires, or has it, the numbers gone down, Emilio?
We have seen a slight reduction over the last quarter, but I can't really give you the information for the entire, because I really don't have that with me now. But what we have seen increase is the number of deaths from fires, and some of this is related to gang violence and all of that taking place. So we really want to implore Jamaicans to be more mindful of each other. Spread a little bit of love more, and let us try and reduce, the instances of fires where we lose lives, we lose livelihood, and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay, well, may your pleas not fall on deaf ears this morning.
And I want to thank TVJ for this opportunity this morning to, get the information out there.
Sure, our pleasure. Thank you, Emilio Ebanks, Public Relations Officer with the Jamaica Fire Brigade.
On the other side of the break, we talk about the Governor General's Program of Excellence. Please stay with us.